Australia has produced some truly great punk rock bands over the years, with bands such as Frenzal Rhomb, Body Jar and The Living End to name a few. In recent years, the Aussie punk scene has been revitalised with new blood including the Chats and, more importantly, Amyl and The Sniffers. Amyl are gaining more and more recognition with every album, landing festival slots at Reading in the UK, late night TV gigs on Jimmy Fallon in the US, with albums charting in the top 10 in Australia and abroad. Where most other Aussie punk bands tried and failed to break through overseas previously, Amyl are succeeding with their unique Aussie flavour of punk rock and high-energy live shows. High praise in particular is given for frontwoman Amy Taylor's performances and stage presence. Stay a while as I take you through the unexpected rise of Amyl and The Sniffers. Amyl and The Sniffers was formed in late 2016 in the Melbourne suburb of Balaclava when housemates Amy Taylor, Bryce Wilson, Declan Mertens and Callum Newton all decided they wanted to form a band. The band's name references amyl nitrate, or poppers, which is a short-lived, high-impact recreational drug. Lead singer Amy Taylor likened their sound to the experience. You sniff it lasts for 30 seconds, then you have a headache, and that's what we're like. With a sudden burst of inspiration and urgency, the newly formed band wrote, recorded and self-released their debut EP, Giddy Up, in just 12 hours, with the band handling production and releasing it independently. The EP would serve as a raw and unfiltered introduction to the band's brand of energetic punk-infused pub rock. The songs would be described as short, fast, loud and funny, with songs like Stole My Push Bike barely lasting more than a minute. By early 2017, Newton decided to leave to pursue a solo career, replaced soon after by bassist Gus Roma, who brought fresh energy to the group. That same year, Amyl released their second EP titled Big Attraction in February of 2017, which was self-produced by the band and independently released again. The EP features tracks including I'm Not a Loser, Westgate and Mole. I'm Not a Loser is the best and most popular song off the entire EP, currently sitting at over 6 million streams on Spotify. The release ignited a year of solid momentum for the band, where they started touring more, becoming one of the hottest emerging acts at Brisbane's Big Sound Festival, also managing to land slots at Aussie festivals such as Meredith and Cherry Rock 17. The band's high-energy music and live performances was a major factor in kick-starting their career. By 2018, the band were well and truly picking up steam in Australia when they supported the Foo Fighters at the start of the year. In March, Amyl launched their first single, Cup of Destiny, following it up with a supporting tour titled Cup of Destiny in April. In May and June, the band went international for the first time when they toured in the US, supporting fellow countrymen King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, playing a run of 20 shows together. Through the latter half of the year, Amyl played multiple European festivals, including smaller festivals, before heading back to the US. Between all the touring and before the year was out, Amyl entered the studio to record their debut album. The self-titled album was produced by English producer Ross Orton in Sheffield, who had previously worked with Arctic Monkeys, and released under the Aussie indie label Flightless in May of 2019. With a runtime of 29 minutes, critics praised the album with a Metacritic score of 81. The album made significant commercial strides when compared to their first two EPs, which failed to chart. The self-titled album peaked at number 22 on the Aussie charts and reached number 91 in the UK. The music industry also paid attention to the band, where the album won Best Rock Album at the 2019 ARIA Awards, also receiving a nomination for the Australian Music Prize. Happy Mag ranked the band number 9 in its The 15 Australian Female Artists Changing the Game Right Now, specifically applauding Amy Taylor as one of the hardest rocking people on the face of the planet. While production was still raw, Orton had managed to push the band to create longer, more cohesive and better songs. Starfire 500 sets the pace for the entire album with its catchy rock riffs and solos. Gacked on Anger, GFY, Monsoon Rock and Punisher bring the explosive punk rock energy in spades. If you're a fan of punk rock, give the album a spin. You won't regret it. Let me know what your favourite Amyl and The Sniffers album is down below in the comments. The band set off on a supporting tour of Australia and the UK to finish off the year. Amyl toured Australia again at the start of 2020 to keep the band's momentum building, followed by a planned tour of the US, including a slot at Coachella. The tour of the States was canned, however, due to the spicy cough. With the band stuck inside during a modern-day plague, they started working on their follow-up to their debut album. With the pandemic coming to a close, Amyl and The Sniffers revealed the title of their second studio album at the start of July 2021, Comfort to Me, which was accompanied by the lead single, Guided by Angels. As the momentum for the upcoming album was building, the band followed up with second single, Security, in late July, and a mere 3 days before the album's release, dropped the third and final pre-release single, Hertz. Originally slated for an early October release, Comfort to Me was moved forward and officially launched in September of 2021 under the Flightless label again. The album was recorded at Melbourne's Sound Park studio, with production handled by the band and Dan Luscombe. The album's lyrics draw inspiration from the Australian bushfires and the pandemic, where the band quarantined together in a tiny apartment, which was a time of chaos and reflection. The album was a hit with the fans and critics alike, with a Metacritic score of 85. On the Aussie charts, Comfort to Me peaked at number 2, also peaking at 21 in the UK and 18 in the US, finally managing a proper breakthrough into the international markets, where so many Aussie bands have tried and failed before. At the 2021 J Awards, the album was nominated for Australian Album of the Year, and in 2022 it won Best Independent Punk Album or EP at the AIR Awards, in addition to multiple ARIA Award nominations including Album of the Year, Best Group and Best Rock Album. Another album full of fiery punk rock energy with songs such as Freaks to the Front and Capital, and plenty of tongue-in-cheek lyrics that many Aussies can relate to, including the song Security. That's 2 killer albums back to back now. In support of the album, Amyl set off to play multiple shows around the world, which took them through the UK, Spain and the US before returning back home to end the year. 2022 was another year full of touring, with a full tour at home to start the year. Given the band's newfound international success, they toured the US in April and May, which included their first slot at Coachella, followed by a tour of Europe. Amyl joined the European leg of the Hella Mega Tour in June and July of 2022, opening for Weezer, Fall Out Boy and Green Day. Their sets in major venues, including London Stadium, earned praise for their intense live shows. Another tour took place at home before setting off on another tour of the US and Europe a second time before returning home again to close out the year with a few festival slots. In April of 2023, Amyl continued building momentum overseas by touring with the Smashing Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction across the US, with the rest of 2023 shaping up to be much the same as the previous year, with constant touring around the world. Between all the touring, the band were working on album number 3. In March of 2024, Amyl announced plans for a US headline tour across July and August, which would be supplementing their high-profile slot supporting Foo Fighters. These supporting slots included several stadium shows, including Citi Field and Fenway Park. By May of 2024, the band dropped a new single titled You Should Not Be Doing That, which sees the band slowing down the tempo on a catchy pop-rock tune, helping the band appeal to a wider audience. In August, the band announced their third studio album, Cartoon Darkness, set for an October release. On that very same day, they premiered another new single and video for Chewing Gum. Cartoon Darkness was recorded at Foo Fighters Studio 606 in LA, with production handled by Nick Launay and released under B2B Records and Virgin. Single number 3, titled Big Dreams, released in September of 2024, which is a softer and more introspective song. The fourth and final single to be unleashed in October was Jerkin, accompanied by a music video featuring full frontal nudity. The band were making a statement about how much offence the human body, and in particular genitals, can cause. Cartoon Darkness was unleashed upon the masses in October, with critics praising the album receiving a Metacritic score of 81. The album peaked at number 2 at home, number 9 in the UK and Germany, doing pretty well all around the world, landing in the top 100 in other countries. The third album in a row now, with the band proving that they've got something special going on. Another album full of energy and punk attitude, with standout songs including Jerkin and It's Mine, but sounding more polished this time around with songs like Big Dreams and Bailing on Me. Cartoon Darkness seems a bit watered down and not as good as the first two, in my opinion. The album received multiple award nominations, including Australian Album of the Year at the 2024 J Awards and a shortlist nod for the Australian Music Prize. Cartoon Darkness managed to take out Best LP at the Rolling Stone Australia Awards and Independent Album of the Year and Best Independent Rock Album or EP at the AIR Awards. On top of the nominations and wins, Jerkin entered the 2024 Triple J Hottest 100 at 32, and You Should Not Be Doing That at number 34, which was a first for the band. This has me scratching my head a bit because Amyl and The Sniffers have put out great songs long before this album. Despite how long it took, it goes to show that their music is finally resonating with the wider Australian population. The band set off on a massive worldwide supporting tour, beginning with the UK and European leg in November. This was a major milestone for the band as it featured their biggest ever headline show at London's Alexandra Palace with a capacity of about 10,000 people. The tour continued into early 2025, spanning Australia, New Zealand, Brazil and North America in March through to May, with more touring across New Zealand and the US scheduled for the rest of 2025. So, what does the internet have to say about Amyl and The Sniffers? Over on Reddit, there's a thread asking for people's thoughts on the band, with users having the following to say. The punk scene in Australia is strong right now. Amy is a cannonball. I dig them. And I like the songs, and seeing them live several times confirmed their greatness. Glad they are blowing up. Over on the band's YouTube channel, in the comment section of the upload of the Got You music video, with users having the following to say. Just discovered this band and I can't stop listening. Punk ain't dead, it just went down under, and as an aging punk from the UK, it's nice to see Australia is keeping the spirit alive. There's clearly a lot of love out there for the band all over the place. Amyl and The Sniffers have put out 3 really solid albums over the span of 10 years. After their first album, they really started to blow up, with the world starting to take notice of the band's unique Aussie punk rock tunes. Album number 2 really sealed the deal overseas with constant touring ever since. Amy is definitely a charismatic frontwoman, with the rest of the band giving it their all every time they step up on the stage, with the band being praised for their energetic and fiery live performances. Amyl and The Sniffers are one of the most exciting bands in punk music today, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Thanks for watching.